Yes?
Jean!
Body spray's hot, boy. I can't take it.
Well, it's a good thing I called. The TDC Home and Building Depots are having their Cool 'em Down sale with 20% discount on fans, AC units, coolers, fridges, and more to beat this heat, girl.
Girl, Betty, you're making joke.
No, so stop sweating and let's go to the store now.
Ooh, you come pick me up, because may want to miss the sale at TDC Home and Building Depot.
Yeah, man. And don't forget you can also shop online too, using shoptdcgroup.com.
Cool.
Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
The official bear of the 60 tournament.
Time to show the world how we like to play.
Yeah. Watch how we just do it, live it up, celebrate the Caribbean way.
This is how we ball, we intercept, how we make them run, how we give them licks before the first word. We unleash the fun inside.
The 60 Cricket's power game, fast, intense, and action-packed.
It's the way we play, it's the way we play.
Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Good morning, Sinkers and Nevis, and welcome to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. It is Saturday, August 27, 2022. It is 4 minutes past the hour of 11 here in the studios of WINN FM 98.9. Thank you so much for joining the program today. Good morning to those of you who have joined us in Radio Land. I know there is the Sinkers experienced the power outage earlier today. I've been following the updates that have been provided by the Sinkers electricity company, Skelec, and they are working on it. But for those of you who can hear us in Radio Land, thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, those of you who have joined via the internet, the World Wide Web, thank you so much for joining the program today. Alright, so the latest update from Skelec is that it says here Skelec wishes to advise that service has been restored to the industrial site feeder, and they apologize for the inconvenience caused earlier. On site, they have their cable crew, the control and operations team, general maintenance, and the operations team, and all other teams not pictured for the work, or they posted a picture. Essentially, their restoration team is on hand fixing the issue. And for those of you who've been trying to contact Skelec, their emergency lines are currently down. So you'll have to check out the updates via their social media platforms. Also, service has been restored to Southeast Peninsula and the Port Zante feeders. All right, good morning, and welcome to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. It's another beautiful Saturday here in Sugar City, St. Kitts. Thank you so much for joining the program today. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. Of course, as usual, I give out the phone numbers, early. The numbers to call are 466-0989 or 762-0989. Those are the numbers that are 662-0989. Those are the numbers you can contact to participate in the program today. I was just providing an update on the power outage currently being experienced here in St. Kitts. The details are sketchy. I've not gotten exactly what took place there, but we understand that there was a power outage, and Scullick is currently working to get power restored as soon as possible. We know how that could be a major inconvenience when you don't have electricity, but they are working to get that done. As you know, today, Saturday, August 27, is the final day for the VAT reduction, discounted VAT rate days. It was on Friday, that was yesterday. And of course, the final day is today. Earlier this week, the government approved 2 days, so August 26th and 27th. The discounted VAT rate days specifically for the back to school. I think teachers are returning to school next week, and then students return the following week, which is the 5th. I saw a notice from the Ministry of Education that says public primary and secondary schools, the students will go back to school between the 5th and the 7th. Well, that is related to Nevis, but I think it's the same thing here on St. Kitts. So yes, school is reopening for this September between the 5th and the 6th. The government earlier this week approved 2 discounted VAT rate days so that parents and guardians who are preparing for the reopening of school can use or utilize those days to purchase any school supplies that they may need for back to school come next week or the following week. I was on the ground yesterday, and of course I passed through some business places earlier today, and people are really taking advantage of the wonderful opportunity. It's not only for school items. The only items that you're not allowed to purchase are vehicles, alcohol, guns, ammunition. You know, I don't think we sell guns and ammunition in St. Kitts, but in St. Kitts and Nevis. But yes, you can't buy any vehicles, you can't buy any alcohol. But all other tangible items that are subject to the 17% VAT are eligible for the discount. And of course, it would apply to businesses that have registered with the Inland Revenue Department. And so, yes, people have been taking advantage of the opportunity to get their back to school supplies. The only thing I saw from some parents on social media was that they already purchased, those early bird parents, they already purchased some items for their children. But I guess for those items that they may have missed, they would use this opportunity to get those items purchased for back to school. As you know, at times you may not be able to get everything done. And so, again, a very good opportunity here for those parents who may not have had the opportunity earlier to get those things for their children can now do so. Make sure you take advantage of the opportunity. I know most businesses would close at around 5, 6 p.m. In some instances, they may extend their hours. But yes, take advantage of the opportunity and get your items for back to school. Teachers return to school next week, and the children the following week. It is 12 minutes past the hour, and we are going to get into our conversation for today. Now, a number of things happened throughout this week. It was slightly not really busy, but a few things took place throughout the week that I want to touch on with you, and of course get your feedback. Some of the things that we've touched before, some that have been in the public domain for quite some time, and people have been giving their feedback on it, their take, their suggestions, and what they feel about it. I know in St. Kitts and Nevis we are very, I don't think vocal would be the word to use, but we tend to share our opinion on issues and things happening in the country, but more so internally. And so if something happened, you would find that people would talk about it inside. They would meet with family and friends and have a discussion on it, versus taking it public. And I could understand that. Sometimes, you just want to have that conversation with family and friends, and you guys trash it out between yourselves and come up with solutions. Well, the thing is, though, the solutions that are being put forward are not being presented, and so the powers that be, they don't necessarily know what the feedback of the people is. But these are some of the things that happen throughout the week. Though there was a lot of conversation surrounding some of the announcements by the cabinet. Of course, the Bastia High School remains a much talked about topic, one that was really pounded throughout the 2022 campaign, and it appears as if it will remain a topic, throughout for some time, I guess, until we get the Bastia High School completed. But yes, that has remained a major topic that a lot of people have been commenting on, giving their take as to how they feel about it. You see, with this issue, though, not to suggest that only experts should give their opinion on it, but for me personally, I honestly don't really have much that I could add to it, in the sense that I'm not an expert in the field of environmental, or in the environment and science and all of the fine details as it relates to the environmental impact and all of that as it relates to the Bastia High School. And so that is why I would say I would not tread lightly, but I would monitor and look at what the experts and the people qualified in the field have been saying. And of course, I am guided by what they present to us as we trust that information. But yes, it does not say that you can't give your take on the school. It affects the students that went to the school, the teachers that taught there, and of course surrounding communities. So I'm not suggesting that this should only be a conversation for the experts. Of course, it has to include the stakeholders, people who are closely affiliated and associated with the school, the students, the teachers, the parents, the surrounding communities. They too would have to form part of the conversation. Recommendation put forward earlier this week is that whenever the process is to happen again as it relates to the school, perhaps, well, it may delay the process, but perhaps what can happen is discussions with stakeholders for the Bastia High School to get their feedback, and of course, as much as possible, mix that or tie that into the professional advice and recommendations that would come forth to ensure that while you can't please everybody, you try as much as possible to meet the not demands, but the feedback that would come from the stakeholders, students, teachers, and the surrounding communities. But yes, it's a much talked about topic, and a lot of people have been touching on it. I just wanted to provide an update on, I think most of you have been, as you know, we are more like a social media world now, where everything is communicated via social media. The world is evolving, and you have to move with the time, technology. I think most of you have seen some of the photos and videos making the rounds on social media as it relates to pertaining to an accident, a fatal accident that occurred in the Halfway Tree area sometime after 5 on Friday. That was yesterday. And we understand that it was, sometime after 5 p.m. The photos and videos are not really what anybody would want to see. And so let me say, on behalf of all of us here at WINN FM, we express our sympathies, our condolences to the family and friends of the deceased. And of course, we continue to encourage road users to use the road carefully and, be mindful of your surroundings. Also, pedestrians, people using the road. When you're using the road, you have to be mindful of your surroundings as well. We have an issue, and I think it's an issue in Bastia, where between that area from that where we have the Bank of Nevis now, right down to the ferry terminal. Of course, that's a lot of traffic within that area, and people would travel that area not paying attention to traffic. And so you'll find that people just walk out in the road and not pay any attention whatsoever to traffic. You find that people are not using the signs and recommendations by the police. People are not walking on the pedestrian crossings. I think people are, they're just taking a chance with it. It's really sad until something serious happens. I know that I think a few incidents have occurred there before. Very, very unfortunate. But it is something that needs to be looked into. But it has to do with personal responsibility as well. I think people need to be a bit more careful whenever they are using the road. It is 20 minutes past the hour of 11. We'll take a short break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue inside the news right here on WINN FM 98.9. We'll take this break and we will be right back.
Found the sound 98.9 WINN FM.
Class, it's that time of year again to get everything you need for back to school. Go to the TDC Home and Building Depot in St. Kitts and City Drugstore Nevis Limited, or shop tdcgroup.com. Shop and get deep discounts for all your school essentials. Backpacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, school bundles, computers, and more. While you're there, be sure to donate to Shop and Share to help the less fortunate and stay ahead of the grade. Oh, and don't forget, Flash Sale Fridays. Now that you know, class is dismissed. See you at the TDC Home and Building Depot and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
The official bear of the 60 tournament.
Time to show the world
we like to play.
Watch how we just do it, live it up, celebrate the Caribbean way.
This is how we vote, we tactics, how we make them run, how we give them licks before the first word. We unleash the fun inside.
The 60 Cricket's power game, fast, intense, and action-packed.
It's the way we play, it's the way we play.
Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the program today. It is a beautiful Saturday here in Sugar City, St. Kitts. It is 22 minutes past the hour of 11, and you are tuned into Inside the News only on WINN FM 98.9. Now, there's a story that I wanted to bring up that I think really has touched a lot of people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's a medical emergency fund that was launched to assist people with urgent health care needs. A medical emergency fund launched to assist with urgent health care needs. We know that health care is a very serious matter here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and generally across the board. Healthcare is a very, very serious matter. We often hear of how many people come down with illness and they have to fly out of the country, have to seek special medical attention. And we know how expensive proper health care and good health care can be. Sometimes you may have insurance and you're unable to, even though you have insurance, you still can't afford the bill. You still can't afford to get proper health care, good health care. It remains a big issue. Even people who are well off with good insurance, they still struggle. And so people in and around St. Kitts and Nevis have been doing their part, have been playing their part in ensuring that anybody from their village, anybody from their community who is ill and unable to provide or unable to, seek that medical care, that urgent health care, then the community would step in. So earlier this week, we spoke with Delwyn Delaney. It says a new medical emergency fund has been introduced in the Connery Community Healthcare Program to help individuals who are seriously ill. Community project organizer Delwyn Delaney told WINN FM that the fund is now officially open for donations. So it is all dependent on the donations and contributions that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis make. The aim is to have each person in Connery donate $5 per month to the emergency fund. There are 3 persons selected to collect the donations. Donis Samuel is the collector for individuals living in the vicinity of the Connery Preschool Road to the Connery Wesleyan Holiness Church, whilst from the church to Poland Hill, Juanita Hampson is the designated collector. Kimara Hamilton is the collector for Connery Flats. The community was first sensitized on the Medical Emergency Fund initiative during Bomber's social and meeting held at the Connery Community Center on Saturday, May 14. Now, Delaney said the fund is a means of assisting people in the village who may need medical assistance in short order. He suggested rather than raising funds each time, they can have something that they can turn to for immediate relief or assistance. When people are at that stage, time is of utmost importance, and having to wait a week or two to plan something and then to get other things in place, it takes away from the person who is ill from a favorable standpoint. The inspiration of the emergency fund, it came about after the Connery community came together to raise funds for fellow villager Jamari Rogers, who at the time was battling lung cancer and needed financial assistance to travel overseas. Delwyn believes that after Rogers' situation, people are more enlightened or awakened to the fact that people cannot sit back and blame the healthcare system in the country or raise funds after someone needs help, but instead take a proactive approach of mobilizing resources together to bring about change. This is a heart-touching story. This is a wonderful initiative taken by the Connery community. Again, we know how serious healthcare is. Oftentimes, we go about our lives thinking that, man, I'm fine. We often hear of other people falling ill and we think that we are immune. While we know one day we too would get sick, we think that we are immune. We think that we are okay. We think that we are in a good position. But life is so fragile these days, anything could happen. So I commend this initiative by the Connery community. And I think, it is something that we should support, because we know of the healthcare system in St. Kitts and Nevis, it is not the best. And we often hear of, people not being able to access the medical attention that they require. And so oftentimes people would have to travel overseas to get that medical attention. But it's only for those who can afford it. So I commend the Connery community, Delaware and Delaney, and all the others who are responsible for this, for putting this together. This is a true definition of a community helping each other and people coming together to effect real, meaningful change. I always take the position that we can't necessarily, we can't always look to the government to do things. While, yes, the government has a responsibility to ensure that healthcare is accessible, affordable, we too have our part to play. And so if we have more initiatives like these coming from the public, and the government plays its role in ensuring that there is accessible and affordable healthcare, it can only get better for all of us. Because again, we don't know when we may end up in a situation where we would require urgent healthcare or urgent medical attention. Life is so fragile these days. So again, kudos to the organizers and everyone else responsible for putting this together. It's really, really commendable. And I think, but this is something that I would want to see more of. It is something that we should call for. But apart from calling for it, we should be a part of it. I find oftentimes here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we would say, oh, this needs to happen or that needs to happen. But we would not play our role in ensuring that it happens. We are oftentimes a society that would be quick to make recommendations, and that's fine, because you do have people who would take up these recommendations and craft them and put them into policy to effect change. But oftentimes we would have a long list of things that we think should be done, and at times we have the resources, we have the connections, we have the skill set to ensure that these things are done, but we're not doing our part, we're not playing our part in ensuring that these things can be done. So again, I commend this initiative by Connery community, and I really think that, more of this would really help us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's 11:31 here in the studios of WINN FM 98.9, and you're logged into Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. Thank you so much for joining us. As I said, certain parts of St. Kitts right now are experiencing a power outage, and so not many people would be able to hear us right now as we're on air. Not many people would be able to hear us in certain parts of the island, but as the information comes, we would continue to update you, whether it be via radio or via our social media platforms. So check out Skellig for more updates on the electricity, or you can check our page, as we will try to provide that update as soon as possible. But they're definitely working hard to get that done. So yes, the healthcare initiative, I really commend it. and I really want to see more of this done. This also ties into the announcement or the decision that was taken by Cabinet, where essentially the government of St. Kitts and Nevis would step in and assist parents and guardians whose children are in dire need of urgent medical attention overseas. And so if you find yourself in a situation where your child is in need of some special medical attention overseas, and you are not in a position to afford whatever the cost of that may be, the government is committed or is committing themselves to assisting you. This announcement came on Monday following a cabinet briefing or a cabinet meeting headed by the Prime Minister and Minister of Health, Dr. Terence Drew. Again, these initiatives are commendable. These things are what I think the people want to see more of happening in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so just imagine for a moment that happening where the government is saying we're going to assist you in this regard, and the Connery community coming together with a medical emergency fund. It's really, really, really good news for people who, are currently in need of health care, medical attention, and something that I think would really help the community. It's really heartbreaking. It's really sad, seeing people have to scramble to raise funds to send their loved ones off or their loved one off to some other country to get medical attention because they can't afford it, whether they don't have insurance or the insurance is not able to cover what the situation may have been. It's really unfortunate. And so oftentimes you find that, mind you, you're in a situation that you need the medical attention now, but because you don't have the money, you have to wait on the funds to become available. And so you find that you spend all of your time, as highlighted here in the article, highlighted by Mr. Delaney, that you spend most of your time trying to plan these events, these fundraisers, and that person is losing precious time. And find themselves in a very unfortunate situation. It's 11:35. We'll take a break now to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. Let's take this break, and we will be right back. Stay tuned.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
Is a man who can't take the botheration,
People make the world go. Buying your medication is easy with City Drugstore's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drugstore's curbside pickup service.
The official bear of the 60 tournament.
Time to show the world how we like to play.
Watch how we just do it, live it up, celebrate the Caribbean way.
This is how we ball with us. It's how we make them run. How we give them licks before the first word. We unleash the fun inside.
The 60 Cricket's power game. Fast, intense, and action-packed.
It's the way we play, it's the way we play.
Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the program today. It is at 11:38 and we are continuing our program today. Those of you who are in Radio Land, thank you so much for joining the program. And those of you who have joined via the World Wide Web, those of you on social media, Facebook and YouTube, those of you on Mixlr, thank you so much for tuning in today. This is Inside the News. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. For those of you who joined late, just gave an update on the situation with the power outage. I'm constantly checking Skelex's Facebook page for updates, and so I'll try to share the update. But if I could provide some background information, so it says Skellex says that at approximately 5:30 this morning there was a fire on a ring main unit at the Needs Must power station. It says thanks to the quick reaction of the officers or the operations staff, with the assistance of the fire department, where they were able to contain and out the fire. Currently, about 60% of the island is without electricity. Repairs are ongoing and full restoration is expected to last about 6 hours. The affected feeders are Port Zante, Sandy Point, SCP-1, Bayford's Canada Estate, Industrial Site, and Frigate Bay. And Skellex is apologizing for the inconvenience or any inconvenience caused. This was for about 4 hours ago, and the restoration continues about an hour ago. Well, this was posted about an hour ago. The latest update is that the industrial site feeder has been restored. So they're working really fast in getting power back across the island. But of course, this is affecting a number of people. As I said earlier, a lot of people are not able to hear us because they are experiencing a power outage. We know most people, their radio is used, or their radio is with electricity. And so if they have no electricity, they won't be able to hear us. But of course, those on social media, I guess you have your battery packs and all of that. But yes, that is the latest update from Skellex. As the information becomes available, I will continue to share. There was something else that I wanted to touch on. Of course, this is something that not only affects St. Kitts and Nevis, but the Eastern Caribbean, the Caribbean region. It's related to Liat. And we know the many headaches that we continue to have, or the headaches that the shareholders continue to experience with Liat. There's an article here from Loop Caribbean. I'll just read some parts of it. It says, as demand for intra-regional travel grows, Antigua and Barbuda is hoping cash-strapped airline Liat could capitalize on the market and become profitable. Speaking at a post-cabinet media briefing, the Information Minister for Antigua, Melford Nicholas, revealed that the government, which is a major shareholder in Liat, took a decision to scale up operations at the airline. Currently, Liat has 3 ATR 42-600s in its fleet, and they carry passengers to destinations including Antigua, St. Martin, Dominica, Barbados, and Grenada. He said, quote, "We are at a stage where Liat 1974 Limited has continued to operate. Of course, they are encumbered by the limited number of aircraft. So the intention is to scale up the operations to ensure we can have at least 2 more aircraft available on wet leases for the continuing operation," he stated. It is more than likely that the new format of LIAT, which is LIAT 2020, would be the institution that takes on the wet leases and make them available to LIAT 1974 until we have completed the conversion of LIAT 2020. Nicholas noted that Antigua and Barbuda has the support of regional leaders, particularly those in the Eastern Caribbean who have been clamoring for greater connectivity in the sub-region. So the issues with LIAT continue. LIAT, of course, is cash-strapped, and the COVID-19 pandemic that we had in 2020, the early parts of 2020, 2021, we are still in it and we are recovering. But the COVID-19 pandemic basically, it was a major disadvantage for LIAT. LIAT already suffering to stay afloat, literally, or to stay in the air, literally. Had to deal with the challenges and the financial and the economic fallout of COVID-19. And they are still trying to deal with that. The shareholder government, Antigua, I think it says here, being the largest, they are making efforts. They're doing their part. They're really trying their best to keep LIAT in the air. The issue, and while I may not be able to speak in depth on this, and perhaps it is a conversation that needs to happen, is the high cost of intra-regional travel, regional travel, where I remember one time looking at a commercial where a young lady was trying to fly in the Caribbean. Let's say, for example, she was trying to go from Trinidad to Grenada, or Trinidad to, let's say, Antigua, Dominica, and I don't think the airline was LIAT. It was some other regional airline, and the cost was significantly higher than the young lady using an international airline and traveling to the USA. And so right there and then, it was realized. Of course, we know this, but it was realized that we really have an issue with the taxes that the Caribbean governments continue to put on air travel in the Caribbean. And so you find that oftentimes when you hear people say they're going on vacation, they fly out. They go to USA, they go to London, they go to these countries because it is cheaper to travel there versus here. I think, a lot of us used LIAT in the past, and you would agree that LIAT was that connecting. It was the company that really, at the time, the Caribbean was like a community. Of course, Caribbean community, yes, but the Caribbean was like a community where people were traveling back and forth, and you didn't really feel far from Jamaica. You didn't feel far from let's say Trinidad, or you didn't feel far from Grenada or Barbados or Antigua, because LIAT was there providing that essential service. So I think that is why the shareholders, particularly Antigua and Barbuda, they're really trying their best to keep LIAT there, trying to keep LIAT afloat. But there's so many issues. There's another update that says, LIAT writes to liquidator seeking another meeting. And LIAT, it says the Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union has once again written to Cleveland Seaforth, who is the court-appointed administrator for the cash-strapped regional airline, seeking a meeting on the further direction of the airline. Now, we know that I think LIAT still owes a number of employees, benefits, gratuity, pension, the list goes on. People who basically spent their entire life working for the company, and they're still owed that, their gratuity or pension or whatever the situation is. It says in the latest correspondence, the Antigua and Barbuda Workers Union General Secretary David Messiah says it is important that there be a dialogue between the parties, should be treated with greater importance. The union has given Seaforth until Thursday to respond positively to the letter. The union has already said among the issues to be discussed will be the decision by the shareholder governments to liquidate the company that owes millions of dollars to former employees who were dismissed last year. But in a letter to Messiah dated August 11, Seaforth said discussions held by heads of government are separate and apart from the court-appointed administration process. Hence, the administrator may not be fully aware of the matters or of all the matters discussed at such meetings. It says, in addition, Seaforth said that the matter of the liquidation of Leyte 1974 Limited is one that must be addressed by the courts of Antigua and Barbuda and not a liquidator subsequently appointed. However, in the union's latest correspondence, Messiah informs the court-appointed liquidator that meaningful dialogue with your good self and whoever you choose to be with is still pertinent. Messiah noted that while Seaforth claims he's not privy to information already in the public domain, Leyte is still under a court-appointed administrator, and that lack of information should not be an excuse to evade consultations with the union. The union maintains that regular consultations and dialogue with employees and their representatives is essential in light of all the outstanding issues that are relevant to the airline's future. So we know right there and then there's a lot of issues going on right now. There's so many things going on right now as it relates to Leyte, and the shareholder governments are desperately trying to save this company, trying to save this airline so that we can still have Leyte. I remember a caller calling in sometime this week and basically made the call to the civil aviation minister, the minister of, I think, air transport, Marsha Henderson, that recommending that we should get rid of Leyte. I am honestly not sure if Leyte still flies to St. If it does, I think it is about once a week now. I think it's once a week. Yeah, once a week. Perhaps Wednesdays or Saturdays. I stand to be corrected. But yeah, the person was basically saying, let's get rid of Leyte because Leyte hasn't really been contributing much. And the cost of travel is really high. And you know, it's something that really has to be looked into. But again, it has to do with the Caribbean government, because you find that oftentimes the cost of the ticket to travel in the Caribbean is not really high, you know. But it is when the taxes come in and all of that, and so you find, let's say for an instance, you may have a ticket for $400 or $300, and then you end up in a situation where you pay an extra $400 or an extra $500 in taxes and airport fees and all of those things. So yes, that is really a major challenge for a lot of people who travel frequently, and people have had to cut back on traveling. People have had to say, boy, I'm gonna have to skip this one out and not travel this time around, because you know, the cost of travel in the region, it is so high. It's 11:53. Of course, we break at 12 for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll continue inside the news right here on WINN FM 98.9. Let me say thank you guys so much for joining the program today. Of course, not as interactive as I would like it to be. There is currently a power outage here in St. Kitts, and so most of our people cannot hear us and are unable to participate in the program today. But stay tuned as we provide more updates from Skullik as it relates to the restoration process and how they have been doing that. We'll take a break to acknowledge the sponsors, and when we come back, we'll close out for the headline news and continue thereafter. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
People make the world go TDC Financial Services. We're here for you to help you make your dreams come true. Whether your needs are big or small, we'll support you with them all. TDC Financial Services, we are strong. TDC Financial Services, this is where you belong.
TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
The official bear of the 60 tournament.
Show the world. Time to show the
How
world.
we like to play.
Yeah, yeah. Watch how we just do it, live it up, celebrate the Caribbean way.
This is how we follow it. It's how we make them run. How we give them licks before the first word. We unleash the fun inside.
The 60 Cricket's power game. Fast, intense, and action-packed.
It's the way we play, it's the way we play.
Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. It's 11:56, just a few minutes before the 12 o'clock hour. Again, thank you so much for joining the program today. We break at 12 for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll continue some more Inside the News, only on WINN FM 98.9. Those of you who have joined us via social media, thank you so much for doing so. Those of you who can hear us in Radio Land, thank you so much for joining. Those of you who may have joined late, earlier I just provided an update on Skellig and the situation there with the power outage currently being experienced. I touched a little bit on what's been going on with Liat and the challenges that they continue to face. Of course, I made a bit of a mention of a medical emergency fund launched to assist with urgent medical care. And of course, the announcement by the government to assist people who have not people but children, sorry. Well, yeah, people still. Children who are in need of medical attention. Very good initiative there by the government. Very good initiative there as well by the Connery community. These are good things. We want to see more of these things happening in St. Kitts and Nevis. to help our people. We can't do it alone. The government can't do it by themselves. I'm not giving them an easy pass. You guys know me. I'm not giving them an easy pass. I'm just saying that the healthcare system is not the best in the country, and we understand, and I agree that the government too has their role to play in providing affordable, accessible healthcare. But initiatives like these are good and are welcomed when communities can come together, put together a whole medical emergency fund to assist their people. It is very good. And initiatives like these, these helped to in aspects of social and community development. You understand? This is what communities should be focusing on. Working together, building your community, keeping your community healthy, keeping your community alive. Also, what we would like to see, well, we know we have the health promotion unit in the Ministry of Health in both St. Kitts and Nevis. But you have people who have medical degrees and people who are qualified in that field who may not be an employee of the government, but you can do something in your community, some health promotion campaign on non-communicable diseases or whatever, to educate people on their lifestyle, or in terms of eating and exercising and all of these things. These things are good. These things are welcome. And I think the health promotion units in the country would appreciate these things happening. Guys, it is the top of the hour. It is 12 o'clock, so we take the break now for the headline news. And when we come back, we'll continue inside the news right here on WINN FM 98.9. I've been your host for the first hour, Devon Cornelius. And of course, when we come back, we will continue the program. Let's take this break for the headline news, and we will be right back.
You found the sound. 98.9. WINN FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoy the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The St. Kitts and Nevis Solid Waste Management, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We are encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans, ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every second and fourth Tuesday each month at the following locations in St. Kitts: the Connery Roundabout, every first and third Tuesday at Buckley's parking lot in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Deep Bay. In Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, Ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottle, flatware set, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Daily Wall with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the WINN Headline News, I am Kevon Brown.
I am Devon Cornelius.
Making the headlines, Skellig working to restore power outage that affected 60% of St. Kitts.
Victim of fatal traffic accident identified. Department of Youth recognizes 12 school leavers in aspects of professionalism.
Near 2,000 teachers on leave in Jamaica, and people are wondering if and when they will return. Internationally, Pakistan is grappling with scenes of devastation across the south, where weeks of flooding is believed to have killed at least 900 people. The U.S. pharmaceutical company Moderna is suing its rivals Pfizer and BioNTech over the technology behind its COVID-19 vaccine. Now, the details. According to a Facebook post by the Minister of Infrastructure, the Honorable Conrad Maynard, quote, at about 5:30 a.m., an electrical event caused a ring main at the Need Must power station to burn out, end quote. The staff of Skellig and the fire rescue services were able to contain the resultant fire. However, the incident led to a near island-wide blackout. According to Minister Maynard, a complete electrical grid repair is expected to take around 8 hours to complete. The affected feeders are Port Zante, Sandy Point, Southeast Peninsula 1, Bayfords, Canada Estate Industrial Site, and Frigate Bay. At news time, 3 of the 7 affected feeders have been restored.
The victim of a fatal traffic accident in the Halfway Tree area on Friday, August 26, 2022, has been identified as Shaquille Marsham. Marsham succumbed to injuries sustained in an accident involving a motorcycle which he was driving and an omnibus whose driver is unknown at news time. Superintendent Lyndon David of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, in a conversation with WINN on Friday, August 26, 2022, confirmed reports of the fatal accident. Investigations are ongoing. More details as information becomes available. 12 school leavers on the island of Nevis have been awarded in various aspects of professionalism during this year's edition of the Summer Job Attachment Program facilitated by the Department of Youth. In a Facebook post Friday, August 26th, the Department of Youth listed the names of the school leavers and the areas of recognition. Donella Thompson received the award for Best Overall Trainee. Hugh J. Jeffers, Ishancio Samuel, Janessa Keynes, Tia Kelly, Samoya Ford, Ariel Weeks, Samar James, Renesia Canterbury, Jeresia Brown, and Malik Carey all received the award for Best Professional Attire. Hushine Martin was recognized as the Most Improved Intern. Jeffers received the award for Most Outstanding Intern, Thompson for Most Dedicated Intern, and Kelly for Most Social Intern. Best Career Group went to the Health Force, comprised of some of the school leavers. Ford was recognized as Best Career Group Leader of the Health Force. The 2022 edition of the Department of Youth Summer Job Attachment Program successfully trained 58 school leavers. 55 interns were then afforded the opportunity to receive hands-on training at various establishments. The program ended on Friday, August 19th, while the closing ceremony was held Thursday, August 18th at the St. Paul's Anglican Church Hall in Nevis.
In regional news, near 2,000 teachers on leave in Jamaica, and people are wondering if and when they will return. Television Jamaica has the details.
The Education Ministry has revealed that almost 2,000 teachers are out of the public education system on leave.
This would mean that hundreds of educators won't be back to school, further fueling talks of teacher migration. Jamila Maitland has details.
167 teachers have officially left the public education system for other job opportunities, but hundreds of others are likely to be out of the school system come September. That's because they're on leave. How many? 1,884.
605 on 8 months leave, 1,015 on 4 months leave, and 100 on study leave. And that is being done when we did the budget for that. The cost is a little over $3 billion to pay replacement persons for those.
But past president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Winston Smith, says the real impact won't be felt until 2023.
The manifestation of the magnitude of problem will not be seen clearly until around about May. Because that is when, if a teacher is on 8 months vacation leave, that teacher will be required to come back. So it is when that time comes that we will really see the real impact of this migration.
The Ministry of Education has advised schools of ways to complement the system. However, the teachers argue that fixing the existing teaching environment must be improved also. Of concerns include the specialized coaches attached to the Sixth Form Pathways program who are on contracts.
They cannot access any form of loans from the banks because they have no tenure.
We will have an executive decision on this matter and we will definitely get back to you. The fact that we're adding it to the JT agenda means that we're going to pay. It's an action item, as Pace just said. We are going to pay some attention to this matter. We do understand the critical skill set of those persons who serve in those posts.
An educator also told the conference of a teacher who's drowning in a $200,000 debt because of late payments caused by the bursary paid system. Unlike some teachers who received payment directly to their accounts, they received checks which are oftentimes late. The Education Minister Favour Williams said the system will soon change.
Eventually, there will be no longer bursar paid schools. All our teachers are going to be paid centrally by the Ministry of Education and Youth. And so many of these problems that you would have been experiencing over many years, once we do that, you should not be having these problems.
But the teachers are getting impatient, pointing to the ripple effects of the consistently late payments.
You said it's very soon, how soon, and should we continue to suffer like this until it's done?
And although they didn't receive a timeline, they say they're comfortable with the acknowledgement by the ministry. Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
We now bring you these international reports.
Pakistan is continuing to grapple with scenes of devastation across the south of the country, where weeks of flooding is believed to have killed at least 900 people. Images on Friday show the streets of Fazilpur heavily inundated and buildings partially submerged, with flood rescue and relief efforts underway. The destruction of infrastructure and breakdown in communication links had added to difficulties faced by authorities conducting rescue and relief efforts. On Friday, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif visited the southern province of Sindh, which faced the vast majority of this damage. During a press conference, he lamented the devastation he had seen.
When the plane was landing just now, I looked down with great concentration. It looked like the angry waves of the river Indus had spread across the whole region. The flood of 2010 was a very huge flood in our history, but I feel that this flood has caused much greater havoc.
On Thursday, the country's climate change minister called the situation a climate-induced humanitarian disaster of epic proportions. Since mid-June, when the monsoon began, over 1,800 miles of road, 130 bridges, and 495,000 homes have been damaged, according to the National Disaster Management Authority. Pakistan has appealed to the international community for help as it struggles to cope.
A once-in-a-generation pandemic brought the world's first mRNA vaccines to the market at warp speed. Millions of lives were saved. Billions of dollars were earned. Now, one of the manufacturers, Moderna, is suing its biggest rival Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech, it says, for copying its invention. The CEO says the lawsuits are aimed at protecting the technology that they pioneered and invested in years before the pandemic began.
They're not asking for any of the money for that Pfizer might have made from the U.S. government. So all of that is neutral because they don't want that money. They're not asking for an injunction to stop anybody, and they're not suing everybody. They're basically suing Pfizer. I think that, in fact, they're probably thinking that if they win this lawsuit, they'll be in a position to license other companies that want to do this.
Researchers are exploring if mRNA technology can fight diseases such as cancer, malaria, and HIV. These lawsuits are an opening shot at who gets to protect its future.
What's at stake is absolutely huge because, what Moderna is trying to do is to form a near monopoly of mRNA technology. That's going to stifle innovation. Not just with COVID vaccines existing, but future generations of COVID vaccines and vaccines for influenza, Ebola, and other kinds of emerging infectious diseases that we need to tackle.
As countries learn to live with a pandemic that once stopped the world, the battle has only just begun over who owns the technology and who keeps the profit. Priyanka Gupta, Al Jazeera.
The U.S. Department of Justice said it was investigating former President Donald Trump for removing White House records because it believed he had illegally retained documents, including some of the country's most closely held secrets. A heavily redacted affidavit released Friday by the Justice Department held new details on the reasons for the August 8th FBI raid at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's Florida home. According to the document, an unidentified agent said the FBI had found 184 documents bearing classification markings containing national defense information, some marked top secret, after Trump returned 15 boxes of government records to the U.S. National Archives in January. The agent also said the FBI had probable cause to believe more documents were still inside Mar-a-Lago. The FBI action was part of a federal probe into whether Trump illegally removed documents when he left office in January 2021 and whether he tried to obstruct the government's investigation. The records also showed how Trump's attorneys tried to convince the Justice Department not to pursue a criminal investigation, arguing Trump had the authority to declassify documents. While the Biden administration has declined to comment on the investigation, saying it wants the Justice Department to remain independent, Biden on Friday was asked by reporters if it's ever okay for a president to bring home classified documents.
Depends on the documents and depends on how secure they're bringing it.
Biden also appeared to mock Trump's claim that the former president declassified the documents he brought to Mar-a-Lago after leaving office.
Well, I just want to know I've declassified everything in the world. I'm president. I can do it all. Come on. Declassified everything. I'm not going to comment on it because I don't know the detail. I don't even want to know. I'll let the Justice Department take care of it.
Trump on Friday complained on social media that the affidavit was heavily redacted and demanded that the judge in the case recuse himself without giving any apparent basis, a request that Trump's legal team has not formally made with the court. The Justice Department also said on Friday in a separate batch of unsealed records that it has a significant number of civilian witnesses who are helping with its investigation, a rare disclosure for a probe in such early stages.
Members of the Crimean Tatar community gather every Friday at mosque, just outside of Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. Many of them have been living here since Russia annexed Crimea 8 years ago.
You know, we live here, but...
The Nurchaus family is still living there. He says people in Crimea are struggling under Russian occupation.
What Russia brings to the territories where they come, they bring nothing but crime, destroying, mother cries, orphan children. We saw this in Crimea. We saw this in Syria, and now we see they are trying to do this in Ukraine.
In the past weeks, there have been a series of attacks on the Crimean Peninsula. Even though Ukraine has not acknowledged it's behind them, an attack on the Saki air base destroyed 8 fighter jets from Russia's Black Sea Naval Aviation. A further drone attack managed to put Russian ground forces on high alert. The attacks in Crimea show Ukraine's capacity to strike Russian targets deep behind the front line. President Volodymyr Zelensky says he will fight to recover all occupied territories, including Crimea.
Crimean Tatars were deported from the peninsula by the Soviet Union in 1944, and thousands of them were forced to flee in 2014 when Russia occupied the peninsula. People here are hoping that when this war is over, they'll be able to return to their land.
Even though Imam Musa is not from Crimea, he says Ukrainians need more help to win the war.
Ukraine is a free people. It's not like Russian people. We want to live independently. We don't want to be with Russia. And all we need from actually European countries, it's weapon. If we had weapon, we will fight till the end.
The international community has repeatedly condemned the annexation of Crimea.
Yes.
Tamila Tasheva says the peninsula plays a crucial role in the conflict in Ukraine.
Russia used Crimea as a military base. President Zelensky says that 750 missile strikes against Ukraine from Crimea Peninsula. It's a lot.
As the war goes on, Ukrainians insist they're fighting for their freedom. For Crimean Tatars, this is also about returning to where they belong. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera, Kyiv.
You were listening to the WINN FM headline news on 98.9. Our top stories were: Skellig working to restore power outage that affected 60% of St. Kitts.
Victim of fatal traffic accident identified. Department of Youth recognizes 12 school leavers in aspects of professionalism.
Near 2,000 teachers on leave in Jamaica, and people are wondering if and when they will return. Internationally, Pakistan is grappling with scenes of devastation across the south, where weeks of flooding is believed to have killed at least 900 people. The U.S. pharmaceutical company Moderna is suing its rivals Pfizer and BioNTech over the technology behind its COVID-19 vaccine. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINN FM Headline News. The Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Daily low with a low electrification and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The Nevis Solid Waste Management Authority, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We're encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans, ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the following locations: in Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and the Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. In St. Kitts, every second and fourth Tuesday at the Connery Roundabout, every first and third Tuesday at Buckley's parking lot in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Deep Bay. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottles, flatware, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. So think smart. Take PAT, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Found the sound 98.9 WINN FM.
People make the world go
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust. To secure your investment, you need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
The official bear of the 60 tournament.
Time to show the world how we like to play.
Watch how we just do it, live it up, celebrate the Caribbean way.
This is how we follow it. That's how we make them run. How we give them licks before the first word. We unleash the fun inside.
The 60 Cricket's power game. Fast, intense, and action-packed.
It's the way we play. It's the way we play.
Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News here on WINN FM 98.9. It is 12:31 here in the studio, and we're going to continue with the second half of the program. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining us. We just took a break for the headline news, and we're gonna go right up until 1:30 with the program this afternoon. All right, welcome back to Inside the News here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. As I said, I'll be providing some updates from Skellig as it relates to the island-wide power outage. Well, not island-wide. Skellig reported that it was about 60% of the island. So, for the most part, most of the island experienced a power outage earlier today, 5:30 a.m. today, the power outage, and the restoration team, cable crew, and all of those people are working to have power restored. And Skellig is just asking for your patience in this one. The teams are working really hard to get the power back up and running. For those of you who can hear us, the phone lines are open at 466-0989-762-0989 or 662-0989. I'm not sure how many of you have been following the developments as it relates to monkeypox. This really hasn't been from my position. Many people haven't really been taking advantage of. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Many people haven't really been paying much attention to. Haven't really been paying much attention to the monkeypox situation, and of course, this is not to alarm anybody at all, but just to share the information with you. So, Guyana, the government to secure monkeypox vaccines by December. And of course, this comes on the heels of the announcement that they have confirmed a case of monkeypox. It says that Guyana, the government rather in Guyana, has placed an order with the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, to ensure the country receives doses of the monkeypox vaccine by the end of next month. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony has disclosed. He said the government is making significant efforts, although the supply of the vaccines is limited worldwide. He said it's a very scarce commodity right now in the world, but nevertheless, we are trying to get some doses into Guyana for people who might be exposed, the minister said during Wednesday's COVID-19 update. Minister Anthony stressed the need for Guyanese to take the necessary precautions to avoid contracting the virus. There are currently about 45,000 cases globally in some 96 countries. And Monday, Guyana reported its first case of the virus, and the health minister said authorities are not expecting any outbreak here. So for the most part, it's not something that many people, I would assume, have been paying attention to. And based on this, it is not as, contagious as COVID-19. But I just decided to share this with you as a matter of information so that you can know what is happening in the regional and international community. It says that the first patient is a 57-year-old man who is now in isolation at the infectious diseases hospital. So they have contained that, and they are monitoring that individual for cases. But yes, not saying this to alarm anybody, but just for information's sake. Of course, with COVID-19, it was a lot of people went into panic mode when we had COVID. Unfortunately, there are some people that are surprisingly still in panic mode. Still in panic mode due to COVID-19 and still, let me say, 2 years behind. We've realized that we have to move forward now. The country is now open in terms of travel restrictions. Some companies and businesses have removed the mask entry protocol. An experience I had earlier this week while entering a business. When I got to the door to go inside, there was the security guard saying, I have to wear my mask. Meanwhile, the employees and other people inside, they ain't had any mask. But those are minor matters. I'm just, sharing experiences that I have been having over the past few weeks since the announcement of the COVID-19 protocols dropping. But yeah, it's time for us to really move on, and I think for the most part, a lot of people have moved on and have decided to, let's move past all of this. Now, this appears to be a teacher shortage situation, or like a brain drain issue happening in the Caribbean. Of course, this is not something new. It is something that has been going on for some time. We're losing people. We're losing teachers teachers who are either migrating or they're either moving into a different sector. I recently saw an article from the Jamaica Gleaner, which reported that the Ministry of Education, they're facing some challenges there as it relates to teachers migrating. Teachers are resigning from their positions and migrating, for the most part, in search of, as you would say, greener pastures. And so they're having an issue there. We know that this is something that most Caribbean countries experience or have been experiencing, where in areas of education, specifically teachers and medicine and all of that, people would often go to school, they come back, and then they leave and they never return. Of course, people are looking for opportunities to advance themselves, advance their families and all of that. But yeah, there is like a teacher shortage right now in Jamaica. I have an article here from the Gleaner, the Jamaica Gleaner, and it says that Jamaica's education sector will be short. Jamaica's education sector, will be short 600 teachers when the new school term begins on September 5th, according to data from the Jamaica's Teachers Association, JTA. It says the data was gleaned by the JTA from 140 schools across the island 1 week before its ongoing 58th annual conference at the Hilton Rose Hall Resort and Spa in Montego Bay. Speaking with the Gleaner Tuesday, LaSonia Harrison, the newly installed president of that association, she clarified aspects of the survey data which had previously been revealed in her inaugural presidential address on Monday night. According to the survey, 13% of the teachers who will not return in September are retired, 43% are resigning, and 44% are on approved leave. It says as an association, we have access to our members. So we would have created. So we created our form, dispersed the same form, and principals have responded based on the data in their schools that they know these teachers who have resigned, those who are retiring, and those who are on study leave. The instrument was sent out last week to principals, and the principals responded from across the region. And that is the data that came in, and we presented same. It says the Ministry of Education has been downplaying the issue of teacher migration, even while revealing recently that 167 teachers have resigned from the profession since July this year. The ministry had previously predicted that 1,250 teachers could leave the profession this year, while acknowledging that about 5% of Jamaica's 25,000 teachers leave the nation's education sector annually. So, based on this, Jamaica is experiencing an issue in the education sector. Not all of the teachers are leaving completely, but you see, based on the data that has been presented by the association, most of the teachers have resigned. A small fraction have retired, and the other half basically on study leave. What we would want to get from our local authorities is how many teachers we currently have in St. Kitts and Nevis. Is this something that we are facing here in the country, where teachers are not only retiring but are teachers resigning to enter different jobs, teachers resigning to migrate? This information would be useful. We know, yes, there's a change in administration, so the minister would have to do the necessary work to see assessment to see what's really going on, but calling on the education officials to provide some data as it relates to this, so we can do more like a compare and a contrast to see if it's the same issue here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Would we say we have a teacher shortage in the country? Would we say a lot of people are moving into the teaching profession? Or would we say that people are leaving and trying something new, trying something different? Or perhaps if they've told themselves, hey, I've been in the classroom for too long, so now it's time for me to move on. But yeah, I saw this news coming out of Jamaica, and while I don't live in Jamaica or have any family or friends or anything, well, not family, I don't think I have any family there, but while I don't live there, I think this would affect their education sector seriously. I mean, while Jamaica is indeed a big place and perhaps have a lot of teachers, I do think that this would be something that would negatively impact their education sector. I mean, losing all of these teachers, some resigning, some going on study leave, some retiring, definitely that's a cause of concern. And so I would assume that at this point, the ministry and the association for the Jamaica's teachers in Jamaica are taking the necessary steps and decisions to try to keep teachers in the field. We know oftentimes we hear the cry that teachers are not well compensated, are not well paid, and oftentimes teachers are put in a position where they have to sometimes finance the education of the children, where you're in a classroom, you don't have much resources, and the teachers would have to step in and whether it be buy school supplies or assist the child. I mean, don't get me wrong, nothing is wrong with that, because you do have teachers who do that, and that's something for them that is really a passion. So I'm not trying to say that's a bad thing or anything like that, but you do have teachers who may have to do it, and it is not something that they are comfortable with. So yeah, if we can get some data on the current situation, how many teachers we have, Is there a shortage of teachers currently being experienced in the country? A lot of people resigning each year. That information I think would be very crucial. I have another article here, which is from the Loop Caribbean. It says in Jamaica, teachers urged to remain focused and assist in nation building. Outgoing president of the Jamaica Teachers Union, Winston Smith, encouraged teachers to remain focused and hopeful as they prepare for the new academic year, which begins on September. He said, I want you to transform our educational landscape by the message of hope and restoration as we seek to embark on a program of restructuring Jamaica, reorganizing and lifting education in Jamaica, land we love. Let us not be daunted or discouraged. Basically, calling on teachers to keep the good fight, continue to play your part in educating our nation's children. He said, while the increased migration of teachers may pose a challenge to those who remain, educators should be undaunted and rise to the task of transforming the educational landscape. So, in a nutshell, let's say you have a team of 1,500 teachers and 1,000 leave all at the same time. That's a tremendous strain on the 5 teachers that are there. But they basically the encouragement is, the advice is to keep working, keep doing what you have to do. Apart from teachers, the nurses, that's a whole other situation or a topic for another day. But we would want to gather this information. He went on to say that we understand, appreciate, and recognize the magnitude of work that we have to do. In other words, teachers. I think oftentimes here in St. Kitts and Nevis and generally across the board, we underestimate the role of a teacher. We underestimate the work that teachers do. We think that it's just the ministry putting people in classrooms and say, hey, go and teach grade 5 and go and teach 5th form or something like that. The work that teachers do, most of us can't, to be real with you, especially for teachers who they themselves have children. And so imagine having to deal with children all day and still having to go home to deal with your child. I think teachers definitely, they for the most part, they go through a lot. There are some that are, for the most of them who are very strong-minded. They love what they're doing. That is their passion in educating children. But I know sometimes we would give teachers a hard time and say the teachers need to do more and do this and da. Yes, I understand. And to the extent that, yes, nothing is wrong in asking teachers who may have fallen short to, hey, pick up the slack. But I find oftentimes we give teachers a hard time without really getting the opportunity or trying to understand the role of the teacher or some of the challenges that they face on a daily basis. So calling on the parents and guardians and the students to work with your teachers as we return to school in the next couple days. As I said earlier, teachers go back to school, I think, next week for the preparation part of it. And students go back to school the following week, which is the 5th. So calling on parents and guardians and students and other people involved in the education system to really support our teachers, give them that support that they need to function properly in the classroom. Give them the support that they need. Don't turn your back on the teachers. Don't turn a blind eye to the issues that they may be facing. Don't play deaf all of a sudden whenever you realize teachers are having a hard time and teachers are experiencing challenges. But yes, take some time out to really understand the work that teachers in this country do. They do a lot. They contribute significantly to our country's development, and oftentimes we would give them a hard time until sometimes we ourselves get into the classroom and we realize, boy, it's really difficult. It's really a lot of work for teachers to do. I think some teachers right now are on like a little retreat, re-energizing, reorganizing themselves for the new school year. And so on behalf of all of us here at WINN FM, I wish you the very best in your future endeavors. All of the teachers who are returning to the classroom next week and the week after, may you find that patience, may you find, that let me say that mental strength and mental health to deal with students, and especially if you have a large classroom. I hope you find the health and strength to deal with your students. Children, for those of you who may be listening, don't give your teachers a hard time. Work with your teachers. So teachers, kudos to you and thank you for the work that you've been doing. Thank you for your hard work and the contribution that you continue to make. The significant contribution you continue to make to our country's development. You do a lot, and we sincerely appreciate you. In this article, it says the Minister of Education, Favour Williams, said principals have been given pre-approval for the replacement of teachers in clear vacancies and temporary posts funded by the Ministry of Education and Youth. She said this is to create greater efficiency in the hiring of new teachers and reduce the time it would usually take to approve appointments between the ministry and schools. Williams told reporters that schools should continue to submit formal requests for appointments, which will be responded to by the respective regional offices, and that a facility has been created for school boards to request extensions for teachers who are scheduled to proceed on retirement effective September 1st, 2022 and beyond. So the ministry is taking the necessary precautions, or necessary steps to ensure that there is a continuation of education in the country. It is 12:54. We'll take this break now to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, more inside the news here on WINN FM 98.9. Let's take this break and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 WINN FM.
People make the world go
Yes? Jean, body spray is hot, boy. I can't take it.
Well, it's a good thing I called. The TDC Home and Building Depots are having their Cool 'em Down sale with 20% discount on fans, AC units, coolers, fridges, and more to beat this heat, girl.
Girl, Betty, you're making joke.
No, so stop sweating and let's go to the store now.
Ooh, you come pick me up, because may want to miss the sale at TDC Home and Building Depot.
Yeah, man. And don't forget you can also shop online too, using shoptdcgroup.com.
Cool.
Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Caribbean!
the official beer of the 60 tournament.
Show the world how we like to play.
Watch how we just do it, live it up, celebrate the Caribbean way.
This is how we vote. How we make them run, how we give them licks before the first bird. We unleash the fun inside.
The 60 Cricket's power game, fast, intense, and action-packed.
It's the way we play, it's the way we play.
Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. It is the top of the hour. It's 1 o'clock here in the studios of WINN FM 98.9. Just a quick notice regarding the Independence 39, St. Kitts and Nevis Independence 39 theme competition. The criteria is the theme must be concise, memorable, and be a phrase, a clause, or a short sentence of no more than 6 to 8 words. The theme should focus on talent development and sustainable livelihoods. The theme should accurately reflect the country's history, current realities, and the common shared future to which all citizens should reasonably aspire. The theme must be submitted by the deadline Sunday, August 28, 2022 by midnight. Late entries would not be acknowledged or considered. Please submit your name, address, and contact number or numbers with each entry. You can email your submission or submissions to independenceskn@gmail.com. That is independenceskn@gmail.com, and the cash prize is $1,000. Entries for the theme competition are accepted from persons of all ages who are citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. And again, the deadline for your submission is Sunday, 28th August 2022 by midnight. Email your submissions to independenceskn@gmail.com. So put on your thinking caps, grab your pens and pencils, and start to put together a theme for Independence 39, which we will be celebrating in a matter of weeks. A big celebration that is expected. It's a few minutes past the hour of 1 here, and you're tuned into WINN FM 98.9 for another edition of Inside the News. Thank you so much for joining the program today. As we're on the topic of teachers, the Ministry of Education here in St. Kitts and Nevis recently met with teachers. Well, the Ministry of Education in St. Kitts, I'm not seeing any teachers here from Nevis, but the Ministry of Education met with teachers here on St. Kitts and senior education officials. So the Minister of Education, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, met with senior education officials, including principals and deputy principals. Of course, in that meeting, the Deputy Prime Minister was accompanied by the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry, William Vincent Hodge, and the Chief Education Officer, Francil Morris. They met with the principals and the deputy principals, in preparation for school. As I said, teachers return to school next week, and school opens on the 5th of September. So, they met like as a official meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister, and expectations for the new school year, and what the ministry is looking for from teachers and the principals and deputy principals, basically leadership of the different schools across the island, and what they would want to do to enhance the education experience here in St. Kitts and Nevis, some of the plans and programs that they would want to implement at their schools. So they met recently with the minister, met recently with education officials to basically, meeting the first time with the new Minister of Education, what their expectation is, and all of that. There is, of course, the high expectation from parents and guardians, and even the students, that the teachers would deliver as they always do. But there is a high expectation that the teachers will continue to do their part, do their teach and ensure that the children are educated and all of that, get the education that they need. But I really think the teachers have been going above and beyond. Teachers have been doing a lot to ensure that education can continue. I think the most challenging time for teachers, was really during the height of the pandemic in 2020 and 2021, when all of this, when the whole COVID situation started, and I could only assume and imagine that some teachers probably went into panic mode, really wondering how they were going to continue with their classrooms, and of course having to shift to online platforms such as Zoom and Microsoft Teams and all of that, so that the education of the children can continue. But I could only imagine how challenging and difficult it must have been for teachers and education officials, during the COVID-19 pandemic. But 2 years later, we're still here. The teachers are still doing their job. They're still doing what they love. They're doing their passion. But that must have been challenging. I mean, generally across the board, it was challenging for a lot of people. We're accustomed to doing things manually, we're accustomed to doing things the old archaic way. But now having to shift to technology, having to get accustomed to Zoom and all of these platforms, I think was a challenge, or may have been a challenge for some teachers, for those teachers who, really buy the books, instead of those who are more so tech savvy and into, the whole social media and technical part of all of that. But I think the teachers were very resilient. They were very, very resilient, and they did well. The education of the children continued. The children as well, and the parents as well, they also had a rough time, because there were some parents that could not provide the devices that they needed for their classes to continue, whether it be a laptop, or their personal computer, or or a tablet or some sort of device so that they could log into Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whatever platforms that they were using, So generally that time must have been really challenging. I think, well, last year, yes, some of the protocols had really eased up, but now, they've gone back to the regular system. I don't think there is any shift system now related to COVID-19. So it's basically like near normal now as it relates to school and the people going back to school. But I do believe it's near normal right now. No social distancing and all of that. Kind of slowing up the process as it relates to teaching and making it a bit more difficult, and having to do all of these classes in one day, must have been really tiring for a lot of the teachers and the education officials, the principals, and all of the other staff who make up the schools here in the country. But for the most part, teachers have been doing well, and we commend you for playing your role. We commend you for doing what, as I said, many of us can't do, or many of us don't have that health, and not health, but strength to do. So commendations to our teachers, and thank you so much for playing that part. What we don't want to see is teachers just, people going to teach just because they want a job. You may have that situation, but I find that the teachers that I've come across during my time in school, for the most part, all of them, they really enjoyed what they were doing, and I think that adds to the experience as a student when you have a teacher who really wants to be a teacher. If you have a teacher who is not interested in being a teacher at all, then you're in trouble there. You are in trouble. But the teachers who I came across, definitely you could tell that they wanted to be a teacher, and their main goal was to ensure that you succeed as a student. Their main goal was to ensure that you succeeded and you excelled in all that you were doing. There are some teachers, again, who, they went above, and they sometimes dipped into their own pockets to ensure that their children get the necessary materials and all of that, so that education can continue. These are the people that should be recognized. I know right now there is a call for nomination for the Order of National Hero or the Star of Merit, and I think the Medal of Honor. So I'm hoping that some teacher who, was really out there working, going above the call of duty, would be recognized in this year's national. I think the recognition usually happens at the National Heroes Service at the park, the National Heroes Park here in St. Kitts. I forgot the actual location of it. Forgive me. But yeah, there are teachers who went above the call of duty and did what, they necessarily ain't really had to do it, but they did it still just because they actually want to teach. They actually want to teach. So kudos to those teachers. Because again, a lot of us perhaps would not be able to even survive a day in the classroom being a teacher and having to deal with children, as we know how frustrating that could be. On the topic of education, also, I would want to congratulate the recipients of the MOFA, that's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and ICDF, International Cooperation and Development Fund, the scholarships that have been presented to the recipients. I think it's some 11 of them. I'll just back check that, but I would want to congratulate them on receiving the scholarship to pursue studies in Taiwan, undergraduate studies. It is a fantastic opportunity, and I would want to encourage them to take advantage of that opportunity. Not only are you being given the opportunity to earn an undergraduate degree, but you are being exposed to a whole different culture, a new culture. You are being exposed to learning a second language. And so when you return to St. Kitts and Nevis, you're coming back with a degree, and you are coming back with a foreign language, adding to, again, the education experience, hoping that, when you come back, you pass on some of what you learned. So congratulations to all of the recipients. And I know that they are grateful for the opportunity. Very, very grateful for the opportunity. Opportunities like these, provide a platform for young people to advance themselves and, really get an opportunity to propel in life. For those who are not in a position to afford to actually go off to university. So congratulations to all of you. And, as you head to Taiwan, I think some left already, but as you head to Taiwan, keep on your head, do what you have to do. Your goal is to go and get that undergraduate degree and, of course, experience the rich culture and history in Taiwan. You take advantage of that. A notice from SKNIS said 3 of the 11 students, they have already left the Federation. They left on August 24th. That was this Wednesday, and received words of encouragement and from the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. So the students who have left already are Hakim Blackmore, Everton Liebert, and I think that's Racelis Nisbet. Blackmore will study journalism and mass communication at the Ming Chuang University. Liebert will study mechanical engineering, and Nisbet is going to study computer science and information engineering. So congratulations to them and best wishes. I think it's 3 or 4 years they would take to complete their degree. So you're coming back with a degree and a foreign language. It is 14 minutes past the hour of 1 here in the studios of WINN FM 98.9, and this is Inside the News. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the program. It's been a rather quiet Saturday here. Of course, the island of St. Kitts is currently experiencing a power outage due to a fire at the Neatmust power plant, according to Skelec, and it is a matter that they are working on trying to get power restored. I have no further update on the situation with Skelec, but if I could provide with you the different feeders. So Skelec says that the restoration will take place by feeders, and they provided a map so that people could know, how that would take place. So the Southeast Peninsula feeder, that's the last runabout at Frigate Bay, Majors Bay. Then you have Frigate Bay, the Port Zante feeder, Bastia South, Bastia North, the industrial site, Canada, Bayford East, Bayford West, Keyon, Sandy Point, and SSMC. So in that order, the restoration process will take place. It will take place by feeders, and these are the feeders. Again, Southeast Peninsula, Frigate Bay, Port Zante, Bastia South, Bastia North, Industrial Site, Canada, Bayford East, Bayford West, Keyon, Sandy Point, and SSMC. So be patient. The hard-working men and women at Skelec, they are doing all in their power to ensure that power is restored here on St. Kitts. We'll take a break to acknowledge the sponsors of this program, and when we come back, we will begin wrapping up. Thank you so much for tuning into Inside the News right here on WINN FM at 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. Let's take this break, and I will be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
People make the world go
Class, it's that time of year again to get everything you need for back to school. Go to the TDC Home and Building Depot in St. Kitts and City Drugstore Nevis Limited or shop tdcgroup.com. Shop and get deep discounts for all your school essentials. Backpacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, school bundles, computers, and more. While you're there, be sure to donate to Shop and Share to help the less fortunate and stay ahead of the grade. Oh, and don't forget, Flash Sale Fridays. Now that you know, class is dismissed. See you at the TDC Home and Building Depot and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
The official bear of the 60 tournament.
Time to show the world how we like to play. Watch how we just do it, live it up, celebrate the Caribbean way.
This is how we follow it. That's how we make them run. How we give them licks before the first word. We unleash the fun inside.
The 60 Cricket's power game. Fast, intense, and action-packed.
It's the way we play. It's the way we play.
Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Inside the news here on WINN FM 98.9. It is 1:20 here in the studios of WINN FM 98.9, and I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. We're going to bring this program to an end right now. Again, thank you so much for joining the program today. Those of you who were able to hear us in Radio Land, of course, those who joined via the World Wide Web. Those of you on our social media platforms, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join the program today. I've been your host, Devon Cornelius. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Remember to take it easy, relax. There's a new week again coming up. I can't believe the time is going so fast. It's Saturday, then it's Sunday again. It's Monday. Oh my gosh. But yes, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Spend time with your family and friends. Enjoy life. Enjoy life. Enjoy life while you have it. Give thanks for life. Thank you so much for joining the program. Until next time, you guys stay safe. At 6 p.m., don't forget to join us for our evening newscast. Of course, tomorrow, morning newscast. And tomorrow at 6 p.m., our, just a recap of what took place in the week. This is WINN FM 98.9. I'm Devon Cornelius. You guys take care and enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN WINN FM.